Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is David Novak. During a lull in the evening, I did a little tally of the books that I had read, posted a community note about it, and since I am still lulling, I decided I would hop on and make a little video. So let me read first of all what I put in the community post. When the year ends, I expect to have finished 46 books. That's fewer than each of the 2 years previous that I have kept track, though I forget those numbers. 3 of those books were lengthy: War and Peace, The Journey to the West, and History of the United States by Henry Adams. Then Daniel Deronda, which I suppose also can count as something of a chunker. A large number were very short. How to Win an Election by Quintus Tullius Cicero, or Cicero, as John David would tell me. The Saga of the Volsungs, David Walker's Appeal, Minor Detail, and Projected Was Huck Black. Plus, a few novels felt pretty short and swift-moving, too. I had 2 distinct slump periods, though doldrums might be more accurate. After reading, then DNFing 300 pages of Les Miserables, and also around election time. 3 DNFs, Victor Hugo, that was Les Mis, which killed me, Flowers of Fire by Hao On-jung, which I didn't intend to read fully from the get-go, and Euclid, which remains in progress. I counted 1 poetry anthology, which I read cover to cover, but other poetry I did not count. I tend not to read poetry books cover to cover. All in all, a productive year that leaves me satisfied, though I hope to up my focus next year by a notch, if life circumstances cooperate. But on the other hand, I've gained a greater appreciation for empty space in the reading timeline for reflection. It is integral to the reading experience for me. Somehow that has just been driven home for me this year, and I don't exactly know why. I attribute it partly to a video put up by Brian at Bookish, though I don't know that I could find it, in which he talked about slower reading. It's a perennial topic on BookTube, readers wanting to increase their speed, readers wanting to slow down. And I think that my tally of books for the year was satisfactory. I think I did well. I had wanted to slow down a little bit from the year previous because I had seemed to pad the numbers a little bit with shorter books. I tried to avoid that, but I did wind up reading a fair number of short books anyhow. So I think my numbers are down, but I am okay with that. Those couple of doldrum periods were inevitable. There was nothing I could do about that. And I really do realize that the page count for me cannot be the significant factor. It's nice to think, oh, and I don't record the page counts. I admire those booktubers who do, and I wish that I could. But even that, to me, it's like it's a very come see, come saw kind of number. Just as the number of books, the quantity of books is a come see, come saw number. It's just more or less. I mean, even in the case of the books that I read, my History of the United States by Henry Adams was in a Library of America edition in 2 volumes, so I counted it as 2 volumes. However, I think Henry Adams himself counted it as, I don't know what, 9 volumes. I think that's what it was. So I could have, I suppose, gotten away with counting it as 9 volumes, but I didn't. And maybe I should have just counted it as 1. So I don't know. conversely, when I read Journey to the West, which was in 4 volumes, or War and Peace, which I read in 3 volumes, I counted it, each of those, as just one. So it's neither here nor there, really. And then, as I say, something like this, which I read, it totals. You can't read the title because the library put that thing there. Minor detail. Whoops. It totals less than 100 pages, but I counted it as one anyhow. So it's just anyhow a rough, more or less figure to give the mind something to work with or to compare, that kind of thing. And I am intending to go ahead and read Was Huck Black as my last book of this year. It is only 150 pages or more, something like 143. I could easily do that plus one other book, but my little book in which I tabulate it has gone down to the bottom of the page. So there's the bottom of my page, and this season I got all confused because I kept reading things and forgetting to enter them, so I had to go back and put them in. But I don't want to start another page just for the sake of including one more book. And so I'm going to hold true to my initially stated desire to just focus, if I can, on Euclid, though I can only take a little bit at a time of Euclid. Otherwise, I may just sit around and, again, enjoy my delirious habitude, or may dip into sundry short stories here and there, that kind of thing that doesn't count. So I may just take a little break so that I can enter the new year running. And through the course of having made these little tabulations, I think I have settled on a game plan. I've already said, and I note, that as far as my history reading, I really want to focus on China. And I've shown in a different video some of the books that I have planned. I've also mentioned for March of the Mammoths that I want to read a large, sprawling Chinese novel. And beyond, and for my late evening read before I go to bed, I want to read the history of North America by, is it Francis Parkman? It's another big multi-volume, 2 volumes in the Library of America set, but bigger than Henry Adams' work, or longer, I should say. So I want to do those things, but I really had not given anything else much thought. And when I have looked over the past year, the one novel that really stands out for me, and I mean, I liked Tolstoy's War and Peace very, very much, but there is not another War and Peace. I read Anna Karenina years ago and thought it was okay. I might like it better now, but enough is enough. And I don't particularly feel like diving into any Russians at this time. I had a huge Russian phase a number of years ago. So, but when I look back over the past year, the one book that was really outstanding and sticks in my memory was The Death Ship by B. Traven. And it's, as I would suppose with all of his novels, it's a bit defective in a sense. And for this novel, it's because it's somewhat of a narrow focus. You're in the mind, you're following the adventures of only one character. Not much attention or thought is given to any of the other characters, but the adventures are so extreme that it really rivets itself in the memory. And I am a big fan of B. Traven. Years ago, I read his The White Rose, which again is a novel that's somewhat flat in a certain respect, but it's indelible as well. And I should, one never hears B. Traven talked about on BookTube. I don't exactly know why. He claimed himself an American. People have disputed that. There is a lot of mystery behind who he was. For lack of more information, I just take him to have been an American, though what kind of an American, I don't know. I mean, was he born in Europe and raised here? Who knows? I don't really worry about it at all. But since his book really was a outstanding work of fiction in my memory, I decided to continue with Traven, and I've shown this before on my book, on my, I don't know, on some video. He wrote a series which takes place in Mexico about the mahogany trade. It was called, I think, it's called variously the jungle cycle or the mahogany cycle. And so it consists of 6 different novels. And I've had them for a long time. For many years, I was not a strong reader at all. And in the past 3 years now, I have been building myself up. And I've noticed over the last couple of years, but this year especially, that when I read something and finish something that has been on my shelf a long time, that I've had aspirations to reading, I feel pretty good about it after I'm done with it. So I had the Harvard series with the first 3 books by Mark Edward Lewis, and I read those and I felt like I had really done something. And so the Traven books, when I first heard about the cycle, I went out and got them, and I will show them to you because I am hoping to start January 1st running. So I don't know how long or how swiftly I will get through the 6 novels. I may well read a number of them and then take a break in order to read that Chinese novel in March for March of the Mammoths, which is a BookTube event, and then resume, just as I am intending to read some big historical works about ancient China before resuming with the last 3 volumes of the Harvard Imperial China set. So the first book is the Carreta. This is from Ivan R.D., a great Chicago publisher. I can't imagine that they still exist, but it was really a wonderful imprint. So that's the first book. The second book is Government. The third book is March to the Monteria. Or would it be Monteria, maybe? The fourth book is Trozas. And when I bought these books, it really annoyed me that I got this one in a hardback, although it is a very beautiful hardback. But I went online tonight and found a $4 copy of the Ivan R.D. paperback, and so I have ordered it just because it bugs me. So I will be taking this to the charity bookshop, and I should have it within a week, or well enough in time for reading it. The fifth book is The Rebellion of the Hanged, and the sixth book will be General from the Jungle. And so I may not be having as broad of a spread of types of books that I'm reading in the year coming, but I think in order to notch my focus up a bit, as I had posted, I should primarily focus on things that I really like. And I know that I like Traven's books. Now, when I get in there, I may just decide I can't stand it, and that's it. I'm going to abandon it. And also, if I get to the final three books in the Harvard Imperial China series, even if the last three books are written each by an individual author, whereas the first three were all written by Mark Edward Lewis, whose writing I love. So when I get to those, if one of those or a couple of those I just don't like that much, it doesn't matter. I will make myself go through it because I can make myself go through a 250 page book better than I can something like Victor Hugo's Les Mis. That was too much of a daunting task to try to make myself read that many pages of something that I didn't like. I just got off of reading Mark Twain's Huckleberry Finn, which I didn't like. But nevertheless, I got a lot of value out of it. And since it is a fairly short book, I knew that it was manageable. It's such a substantial piece of Americana that I found little things falling into place that I had heard about or seen elsewhere. And so it really was, in my case at least, worth the effort of pushing through it. So that is just my immediate plans for the coming year. And I don't know that this is going to count as a year-end wrap up. I think at some point I want to go through all the books and talk about them, because I have done my 2 previous years with a video of that sort. So I just thought I would come on with my little eureka moment this evening. Thank you very much for stopping by my channel.